All right, I know what you're thinking, but hear me out for a second because this legitimately may be the most toxic combo to come out since the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And of course, it has to revolve around freaking Smeargle. So, today let's take a look at how you can use Smeargle and Mew, or two Smeargle for that matter of fact, to legitimately shut down every single trainer in the Indigo Disc, as well as troll your friends with double battles. This thing is absolutely nuts. It's really easy to set up, and well, you'll see in a second, it's very toxic. So, let's get to it. Now, to kick things off for this, you're going to need to get yourself at least one Smeargle, depending on how you want to use this strategy. Smeargle is really easy to find over in the Savannah biome if you basically come straight out from where you enter the terrarium. In this area, you can find Smeargle, like, they're usually all over the place out here. So, catch yourself at least one Smeargle, if not two, depending on what you want to do. And then, let's move on to teaching this guy some very toxic moves. And in order to do that, you're gonna need some help from Mew, more specifically, the unrivaled Mew that you used against Mewtwo. We're not gonna be using it for a whole lot. It's essentially just going to be a TM tutor that is going to teach Smeargle some moves here. But you're gonna need your Mew. It can be any level, preferably level 100, and it needs to know two moves. It needs to know the move Imprison, and it needs to know the move Transform. Both of these moves are basically a necessity for what we're going to be doing here with Smeargle, so make sure it has those two moves, and then you can add any other two moves that you want with it. But once you've got that done, it's time to teach Smeargle Imprison and Transform. And some of you may have guessed where we're going with this already, but if not, things are about to get real toxic real quick. Now, in order to do this, you're going to want to make sure that you have Mew and Smeargle as the first two Pokemon in your party. As you can see, I have three Smeargle. Smeargle really doesn't need anything special. I usually give mine max HP and max physical defense, just to make sure that they can stay alive as long as possible. But if you want to guarantee that they survive at least one hit, make sure and give them a Focus Sash. That'll basically guarantee that you're going to at least learn the moves that you want to learn here. So, Mew up top, and you're going to need to find yourself a trainer somewhere in the Indigo Disc, in the terrarium, that you can battle. Since all of these are double battles, this works out perfectly, and you can do this solo. So, we're going to go ahead and challenge this trainer and teach Smeargle a new move. And there we go, just like that. So we're in a double battle against some random NPC trainer on the map here, and we want to make sure that the first thing that we do is we're going to have Mew use the move Transform on Mandibuzz or Vibrava, whichever one of the two Pokemon you want to. Since Mew is basically going to be the fastest Pokemon in any of these double battles, it's going to go first, and after that, we're going to use Sketch from Smeargle on our Mew, just like so. So, Mew uses Transform, it transforms into Vibrava. Smeargle uses Sketch on Mew, and because it uses Sketch on Mew, it now knows the move Transform, which is, honestly, it's pretty cool that Smeargle can learn Transform like that. You could also do this with Ditto, however, doing this with Ditto is going to be a lot harder. Now, if you want to make things really interesting here after you've done this, go ahead and just start attacking, because you will need to beat this, but your Smeargle doesn't know Sketch anymore, so you're more than welcome to turn into your opponent's other Pokemon. And now you've got yourself a 2-on-2, a literal copycat battle, which in and of itself is pretty funny. Would be a great way to, which would be a kind of really funny thing to do against your friends, but it's not quite toxic enough for us yet. So we're gonna go ahead and end this battle here real quick by defeating our opponents. Yay, and there we go, we finally defeated our opponent here. Fantastic. So, and just like that, our Smeargle now knows the move Transform, which means it can transform into anything. However, that's not quite good enough. So what you're gonna need to do at this point is, we've defeated this trainer, go ahead, head on out and find yourself a second trainer to face off against, because we have one more move to teach Smeargle. And just like that, we found ourselves another trainer over in the coastal biome. So we're ready to teach Smeargle its final move. So again, make sure you have Mew up in your first slot, Smeargle in your second, and make sure that you do not forget to hop in there and make sure that Smeargle relearns the move Sketch, because you will need this one more time. So with that, let's hop in here so you guys can see Smeargle learn its last move, Imprison, as well as see exactly how toxic this combo can actually be. So we're gonna face up against Leo the student here. He's gonna send out Diglett and Grimer, which actually kind of works out perfect for us. So first thing we want to do here is we want to make sure that Mew uses Imprison, and yes, it will use it on itself. And Smeargle is going to use the move Sketch on Mew. So Mew uses Imprison, which is perfect. And for anybody that doesn't know what Imprison does, it essentially seals all of your opponent's moves that your Pokemon knows. So any move that Mew knows, the opponent is no longer allowed to use. Now, Smeargle has that ability as well. The cool thing about Imprison is that when used with the move Transform, essentially nullifies every single move that your opponent can use. So if I transform into Grimer right now, Imprison is still active, which means that Grimer can use none of its moves. And the same thing applies with Smeargle. If I use Smeargle and I use the move Imprison on myself, like so, you're gonna see that I'm gonna transform into Diglett here in a second, and then my opponent will not be able to attack at all. So Diglett uses Iron Head, it doesn't KO me, which is fantastic. Grimer can't use Crunch, which is obvious at this point. And now I have access to everything here. So I can go ahead and use Fire Punch, and I can also use the move Transform, but before I do that, I want to make sure, actually, let's do this. Let's use Mew's turn this time to use a Max Potion on our Smeargle. And then Smeargle can go ahead and transform into a Alolan Diglett. So we go ahead, we use our Max Potion. Just like so, Smeargle's back up at full HP. And since I've used Imprison already and now I'm using Transform into a Alolan Diglett, this does, like, they're out of moves. Grimer has no moves left that it can use, so now literally all these Pokemon can do is sit here and use Struggle, which means that they're going to damage me, but they're also going to take damage themselves. Meanwhile, I have full access to both Pokemon's movesets here, and I'm free to use them, which is incredibly broken. Now, if you have not beaten the Indigo Disc or the Teal Mask at this point, get yourself a Smeargle and a Mew, and if you play this right, you will literally go in and make it so that your opponent can never attack. This is essentially a 100% guaranteed method to beat the Indigo Disc with 2 Pokemon. That's it. Or make yourself a team of 6 Smeargle and just go absolutely nuts. Now, my opponent does have multiple Pokemon here. He does have a Alolan Executor, which is kind of crazy. But that's fine because Grimer still can't attack. I can use Dig on Grimer and take it out, and essentially nullify everything that my opponent's doing here. And this is the whole crux of this strategy, is... Ouch. Oh my goodness, he's so tall. Okay, well, he's done. He's gone. There we go. And we win, just like that. But that's the whole crux of this strategy, is you send out either 2 Smeargle that know the moves Imprison and Transform, or you send out a Mew and a Smeargle that both know Imprison and Transform, and essentially just make it so your opponent can do absolutely nothing. If you're in a situation like this, where your opponent has 3 Pokemon, you can always very easily catch another Smeargle and do the exact same thing over again. You could have a full team of 6 Smeargle ready to go at any given time with Imprison and Transform. It's incredibly broken, and it works on everything except raid Pokemon. So you can take this and use this against the legendaries. as you're trying to catch those. You can take this and use this exact same strategy against the coaches that you can bring in the, the clubhouse inside of Blueberry Academy to make those battles just as easy as possible. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at what one of those looks like. All right, so I am in the League Club room now, and I have access to my list of trainers that I can call in, or my coaches that I can call in. I haven't called in anybody yet, so let's go ahead and call in Larry for a special battle here. Everybody's favorite gym leader from this one. Yeah, this is Larry. So let's see how this works against an actual legitimate Elite Four trainer and see how it holds up. All right, so we're back to take on our man Larry again, gym leader, Elite Four trainer, everybody's favorite man from this one. Now you can lead however you want to with these. These are single battles, so I can lead with either Mew or I could lead with Smeargle on this one. Let's go ahead and swap into Smeargle, just because, you know, he's much easier to get than Mew is. Boom. There we go, there's our boy. So Oinkologne does Trailblaze. It doesn't do a whole lot. Like I said, Focus Sash on this one is kind of important here. So we're gonna go ahead and use Imprison this turn. Ooh, we're paralyzed, which is kind of rough. There we go. All right, so we go ahead, we use Imprison, which, you know, is gonna do exactly what we talked about earlier. It's gonna make it so that any moves we know our opponent can't use. While I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and use my full restore to get Smeargle back up to full HP at this point and get rid of his paralyze. So that way I can start being just a menace. So Trailblaze goes off, does a little bit of damage, which is totally fine for me. And now I can just use Transform. Body Slam does quite a bit, but you know what? That's fine. We go ahead, we transform into Oinkologne. And now Oinkologne can do absolutely nothing. We're gonna go ahead and heal Smeargle up one more time, just so we're at full HP. And now the fun begins. Even though this is a gym leader, they will not switch out Pokemon on you. They will literally just sit here and use Struggle. That's it. So they're gonna damage themselves and do minimal damage to you. At the same time, you can come in here and just do whatever you wanna do. Play Rough comes in, hits nice and hard. Let's move me over this side so you guys can see a little bit better. There we go. And Oinkologne's already at the point that it's about KO'd. It may actually KO itself this time before I get the chance to do anything. Yeah, I didn't even get to attack on this one. It's beautiful. So, and then Larry's gonna send out Flamigo. At this point, we could either just keep in Oinkologne and just keep going with our Smeargle, or we can send Mew back in. And then Mew can repeat the exact same process against Larry, but just, you know, with a Mew this time instead of a Smeargle. And this is the exact process that you go through. If you do this and you have a Pokemon that can survive at least 2 hits here, you are basically guaranteed that you're gonna win against any trainer, any Elite Four member in the game, any NPC for sure. And you can also troll your friends with this one really, really hard. So we've done Imprison, we do Transform. Boom. We are now Flamigo, and Flamigo can no longer do anything because Brave Bird has been sealed. However, I can use Brave Bird and absolutely take this Flamigo out. Brave Bird. And just like so. And at this point, you guys get the point of how this works. You can literally do this over and over and over again. You don't have to have Smeargle and Mew as your only Pokemon in your team, but if there's a team that you're going up against that you're really concerned about, go ahead, just keep doing it. Once you're done, swap back in and keep going. And that's because as soon as I swap back in, I'm swapping Smeargle back in, not Oinkologne. So now we have Altaria, who I can use Imprison on again, and then I can use Transform on again and do the exact same thing, provided that I survive Moonblast, which I do. So now I can use Transform, just like so. Altaria can't do anything to me this turn because it's imprisoned. We just keep rolling through this. You do this against all 6 of Larry's Pokemon, and you are guaranteed to win. Actually, against anybody. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you use Smeargle, or a Smeargle and Mew combination, or just an entire team of Smeargle that know Transform and Imprison to just basically beat the game with one Pokemon. I mean, this thing's absolutely insane. Doesn't matter if it's a double battle or a single battle, you end up just dominating your opponent every single time you go into it. Using Imprison first and then Transform with the Imprison carrying over basically just means that you have free access to your opponent's entire moveset while they are stuck using Struggle. This is a great way to kinda just steamroll through the game if you need to. If you're starting a fresh playthrough of the game on a different copy, like if you're playing Violet instead of Scarlet or vice versa, or if you just want to get through the Indigo Disc as quickly as possible, this would be the Pokemon to do it with. It's a one-stop shop to basically guarantee that you beat the game as quickly as possible. But that's it. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you guys think of this team? How toxic do you think this is on a scale of 1 to 10? And what other use cases could you see this for? Because, I mean, you could definitely use it to beat the game and mess with your friends, but I'm sure that you guys could get really creative with this one. And as always, if you enjoyed this, guys, make sure you hit the like button, sub to the channel if you're not already so you don't miss out on more crazy strategies like this. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.